1922 was the second Netflix-produced Stephen King adaptation to be released in 2017, following Gerald's Game. The film follows Wilf, a hard-working husband who conspires to murder his wife with the aid of his son. The film was directed by Zak Hilditch and stars Thomas Jane, who returns once again to Stephen King adaptations. Hey guys, and welcome back to Garage Stephen-King-a-thon, where every day for the month of October, we revisit a Stephen King adaptation. Today we're talking about 1922, which this is a first-time watch for me. I haven't previously seen this movie. Reason being is because this movie came out after Gerald's Game, and I watched Gerald's Game first, and for some reason I saw a Netflix-produced Stephen King movie. I didn't like Gerald's Game, so I passed on 1922, which I probably shouldn't have because it's two entirely different stories, two entirely different directors. The only thing in common is Stephen King, which Stephen King has proven to be successful when it comes to adapting his stuff to the big screen, and Netflix, which also has proven themselves to be really good. Netflix is probably one of my favorite studios working right now, along with A24. So I don't know why I skipped on this movie. It seems right up my alley. I love old, like, western, gritty feeling shit, and this is horror, and you know me, I love my horror. So, did I like this movie? Gosh darn right I liked this movie. First of all, the movie opens, and we're introduced to Thomas Jane's character, Wilf, and he's writing in a diary, and I didn't even know it was Thomas Jane. He's unrecognizable in this. He's like grizzled and old, and he's like kind of like crooked and just a totally different Thomas Jane performance here.
Papa, what are we gonna do?
Sometimes the only thing to do is to take the thing that you must have, even if somebody get hurt.
Usually Thomas Jane is cast as like the hero or the pretty boy, and for him to give such a grittier performance in this, such like a sleazier performance, it was really fun to watch Thomas Jane in this. So Thomas Jane is this hard-working farmer. He's a very gritty farmer, and he lives on this beautiful farm that's actually owned by his wife. His wife owns the land. The wife, however, wants to move out. She wants to sell the land, and her dream is to start selling dresses. And Thomas Jane's character, Wilf, is totally not for that. He's a hardworking guy, and he lets us know early on that labor is his way to cope with things. It's his coping mechanism. So for that to go all away and him to start working in the city, totally not what this dude was meant for. That's why he conspires to kill her, just so he can keep the land for himself. And he does kill her in a very gruesome and disturbing way. Meanwhile, you got the son in this. The son is in love with the neighbor's daughter. Thomas Jane, to get in his head and try to get him on his side, says, hey, if you move to the city, you're not going to see this girl anymore. And he persuades his son into helping him with this murder. Sounds like your run-of-the-mill murder conspiracy movie. Why does this one work? It really is just the pacing. The pacing was so slow, but in a good way. It was riveting. The look of the movie was beautiful as well. I was so hooked on this movie. The look, the feel, the acting, everything was really done precisely in this movie, and I really like that. All of these characters are somewhat of a scumbag, not just Thomas Jane's character. The wife is portrayed as this old nagging hag that even the son really doesn't like his mother. There's a scene of the mother getting drunk, and she throws some sly comments at her son, saying that if his son doesn't fuck his girlfriend, then he's a pussy.
Here's a shining coterie on her future bubbies, and if my son don't know the color of her nipples, he's a slowpoke. You just make sure when you're laying down with her in the corn or behind the barn that you're a no poke. Explore all you like and, rub it with your Johnny Mac till he feels good and spits up.
Just stuff like that really gets under his skin. She's a bit of a miserable character herself, and the son is miserable in his own right as well. He's very selfish and self-centered. Everyone in this is just very selfish. The overall theme of this story is basically that murder is very murky, because everyone in this has their own selfish intents in life. Thomas Jane thinks he gets away with murder, and slowly different things start to happen. The sheriff comes to visit, he has to hide some stuff. Then he has to fill up the well where he threw his wife in, and he has to come up with an excuse to fill up that well. So his excuse is, a cow fell in the well, so I had to bury the cow.
Now what?
And right when you think this character is off the hook, right when you think, okay, the sheriff is no longer on his ass, the city is no longer on his ass, right when you think he's in the clear, then the demons come to haunt him, literally and figuratively. So it really goes to show, like, what murder is really messy. You just can't get away with it. And I thought it was very riveting. It felt like a very Western theme. I love this movie from start to finish. The gore in this, just like I talked about in Gerald's Game had some really freakish gore in there, and this one as well had some very yucky scenes, especially scenes involving rats. If you guys are afraid of rats, I suggest you don't watch this movie, but at night when I went to go to bed after seeing this movie, I thought I heard a rat coming from outside or some animal, and I was getting a little spooked. This is like a perfect horror movie for autumn. It has a very autumn feel. And just everything this fucking character goes through. A rat bites him, so they have to amputate his hand at some point. It's almost like at a certain point you're just rooting for this character. Like, he's a bit of a scumbag and he murders his wife, but you kind of like just want him to catch a break at a certain point, and it just never happens, and deservedly so. There's this whole subplot as well where the son runs away from his dad because his dad is a scumbag, runs away with his girlfriend, and they kind of become like a Bonnie and Clyde type of duo. I thought that was very interesting as well. This is a very solidly told movie. If you guys didn't like Gerald's Game, go watch 1922. I'm not exaggerating when I say this. I think this is definitely one of the scariest Stephen King movies, and I think it's definitely top tier Stephen King adaptations. In this marathon so far, I can think of a handful of movies that are better than this one. It has a very simple premise, this movie, so the big heady ones like Carrie and The Shining are obviously going to be better than this. But I feel like this is top tier Stephen King, just very effective at what it does, very simple but very effective storytelling. This is a great hidden gem on Netflix. Sometimes it's hard to find good movies on Netflix because Netflix just fires on all cylinders, and they don't really have a good way to skim through stuff you like, and they don't have a good way to show you, hey, this is on Netflix, you should watch this. For me anyway, if you're looking for a good horror movie on Netflix, a good hidden gem, I suggest you watch 1922. Stay tuned, guys. Still not over yet. We got more Stephen King adaptations coming your way.
Harry Potter,